Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we love talking about leadership and communication and so much more. That's why we're honored to have with us Nick Davies, Master Business Coach with ProAdvisorCoach. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderfully. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Great to be here.
Absolutely. It's fun to have you back on the show. And so we'll talk all about leadership, communication, goal setting. Those are the topics for today. But let's start with a little bit of your background. When you talk about ProAdvisorCoach, give us some of your personal background, and let's definitely talk about your efforts as a business coach.
Absolutely. Well, my background, my first career, as I like to think about it, was 20 years working in the financial sector, in the corporate world, all over the world. 3 different continents, 6 different locations, and I've been working as a business coach for 6 or 7 years now. And I get to work with people that are really passionate about their business, and I work with people that have businesses with a financial background, oftentimes, and people that are just looking to get to that next level. You know, and that's what I get to focus on now. I'm working with my team of my coaches here at ProAdvisorCoach, and we're growing like crazy, and lots of businesses and people to help out there.
Talk about the structure, the model. Give us a little bit, obviously, behind the scenes in terms of how the coaching is structured to deliver success.
I will answer that in context of ProAdvisorCoach as well, Jeremy, because I think it's really important, because we've got some things that are really special here at ProAdvisorCoach. It's a group of coaches have their own business that come together under the banner of ProAdvisorCoach to leverage the scale and the size and some of the infrastructure as well. And I think of it like an aircraft hangar. I mean, if your business is the aircraft hangar, you can come and park your aircraft in there. It's your plane. You're in charge of it, maintenance, flying it, how far it flies, and everything you want to do there. But there's other ones around next to you and near you that you can learn from, that you can share things with. And you've got the hangar itself, which acts as shelter, acts as scale, and people can see that from further away. And so that's why ProAdvisorCoach is doing something that's a little bit unique, which is really, really cool to be a part of. And everyone's a little bit different in terms of what their focus is, in terms of their niche and who the people they can help most. I believe as a coach that I can help anyone, anywhere, anytime, and anything. But I also believe it's really important to be focused about who you want to work with the most, who you can specifically focus on the most. And so for me, I work with, as I mentioned, financial professionals, people with businesses or have that financial past. But the success piece, the principles, I think was what you're alluding to, they're always the same. It's always the same stuff. There are only so many principles and concepts. And I think that any leader will tell you that they've seen things repeat over and over again. And I think the key to success in leadership really is to be able to spot the patterns. Okay, I'm leading a new team in a new company, a new industry, wherever it is. You're going to be able to walk in there and you're going to be able to see things that you've seen before, because those patterns repeat themselves. I often think about, you choose your specific industry or technical place to start in life. And the further you go up on that ladder in that area, the more it becomes around leadership, communication. It becomes about understanding people. And that's why you see people at senior levels jump between industries, because at that point, it's all applicable everywhere.
Well, you mentioned leadership and I mentioned leadership. So let's start with leadership. How do you define leadership? Because I think when you talk about leadership, it can mean different things to different people. For some, it's, creating a group of followers. It's others that are the visionaries and more of the entrepreneurs, and I've got to go and create, and that's leadership in that arena. But, how do you define leadership?
Yeah, I think it's really important to define it, because it's easy to share it in many contexts, and it does, and it's useful in many contexts. But any place that we talk about, we've got to say, hey, let's talk about what we actually mean when we say leadership. And so fundamentally, the way I think about it is leadership is a choice. It's not a title. And so if I think about it in businesses, in large corporations, especially large corporations, there's often a lean towards a title which creates some sort of hierarchy, which creates some sort of power, which creates some sort of, I get to tell people what to do. Or I get to, more specifically, like I get to tell people what to do in order to get to the outcomes that I want or they want. What's something that I've had a bunch of times, Jeremy, which is always very intriguing to me, is people to say, this person doesn't report to me, so therefore, they're not doing the things I want. I just want to be in that title. I'll have them report to me so I can get them to do the things they want. And I will tell them, the way you have it right now is the way you want to have it. Because if you can't influence them without official title, then if you have it, it won't make any difference. It's going to cause more pain. So I really think that's the definition up front, is that it's a choice, not a title. And so that's how I would think about it overall. So if you're thinking, okay, am I a leader? It's like, well, you haven't got to be the own a company or be the CEO in order to be a leader. You've got to think about, okay, what am I creating? What am I moving towards? Ultimately, leadership for me is, what are you moving towards? And you mentioned, people that are following other people, and that's really a symptom of those things, right? If you're going out and you're creating, you're saying, I know where I'm going. This is where I'm going to go. And I've got language around what that is, and I'm doing it. And because you're excited about what it is and you define what it is, then you tend to share what it is, and you're passionate about what it is, and you tend to influence other people. And the part of that conversation is then people want to come with you, because people want to follow people that are clear about where they're going and therefore the mission that they're on.
And I think that carries us into communication. But I do want to go back, because I think when you talk about leadership being a choice and not a title, that's extremely freeing, because it really shows you the power of what's possible by saying, okay, I have a chance to make a choice and go in a positive direction that, just like you said, will naturally let things evolve the way they need to evolve, in terms of people wanting to be a part of it and, going and creating these opportunities for more success. But it's a choice, not a title. So let's start talking about communication, because that plays a really integral role in influence, opportunities, relationship building, all of these things that are needed in the workplace, but obviously just socially out in life in general too.
Yeah, I really believe that communication is everything, Jeremy. It's the connective tissue to everything that we do. And I love this vision always pops into my mind, and I don't know where it came from. It always pops into my mind. I always think about driving on the highway, and sometimes you might look at the median and there's like a couple of cop cars. They're just hanging out, whatever they're doing, but they're parked in opposite directions so they can talk to each other. And I always think about them throwing a tennis ball to each other. And a tennis ball is a representation of the communication they've got, the back and forth in the communication and the conversation they're having. Good throw, good catch, good throw, good catch. They're going back and forth. If one of them rolls the window up and the other guy is throwing still with the same accuracy, what's going to happen is that that ball's just going to bounce off the window. And it doesn't matter how accurate that throw is, that's not going to get through. Communication's the same way. It doesn't matter what you've got to say or how valuable it is. If the other person's not listening, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Right? And so we want to optimize when we're talking for people, not with what we're saying, but how might it be received. Well, and so whenever I'm having a conversation with someone, my goal, if I'm the one speaking, is that, okay, how might I phrase the language that I'm having here and the message that I'm thinking about in such a way that it could be received in the easiest manner? And likewise, if I'm on the other side of it, I'm thinking whatever's coming out that other person's mouth, how might I receive that in a way that it has the most fantastic, amazing intention, such that it's the easiest that I can take that in and really show that person that they're being heard. Communication is not talking; it's being able to actually communicate with someone and have that stuff being integral into what they're actually hearing. It's a fantastic thing to think about, because most of the time we're out there just saying things and not necessarily in communication. And it's obviously rife in business. We're here talking about business communication, and we're talking about corporate communication, but I think about just in our personal relationships. I know with my wife and our two young kids that there's a lot going on in our life. I'm working, she's working. Today, as we're recording this, like there's a crazy storm here in North Carolina, and it's all going crazy. And so like the interaction me and my wife takes on a different level, right? There's the business of our life, like there's the different parts of our relationship. And so if we're just talking, we're not necessarily hearing or repeating back and understanding, or we're not really communicating. It's often that it might happen, I do this for a living, but it's often that it might happen between us to say, oh, did you do that thing? So what thing? Well, the thing that we talked about. I don't remember that. And that can create conflict, but both of us are still correct in what we're saying. It's still genuine. I genuinely thought that you heard that, and I feel like I'm hurt because you didn't hear that, and therefore like I feel like I need to react to that because it feels like it's an attack on my intention. But of course, that's not the case. And so communication is something we'll be continuously figuring out forever in all walks of our life, but we can really say, okay, look, communication is everything. It's not about how good you've got something to say, or how important is what you're saying. Is it going to get through? Is it going to be received as how I intend it to be received?
Let's go back to the example you gave of an individual who wants to have influence, but needs the title or thinks they need the title to be able to get the other person to do something that they want them to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Communication plays a critical piece of that success. And obviously it goes back to obviously what you were saying about leadership is it's a choice, it's not a title. But when you talk about stepping in and starting to create influence, lead by example, obviously is a piece of that, but how do you start to communicate with someone who maybe isn't officially under you, but you need them to be a part of your team to do what needs to be done to create success? What's one kind of tip in that, example that you would give someone that is trying to start pull someone over on their side who they don't directly report to?
It's a very common example and a great question there, Jeremy. Absolutely, because most of the time there's already a cycle in that situation where it doesn't work. So the expectation is it doesn't work from both sides. Oh, this person's going to ask me that again, well, I won't do it. Or I'm going to ask that person and they won't do it. And so it starts with hitting a reset button. It starts with hitting the reset button for yourself to say, okay, I'm going to take a different approach here. And if I take a different approach, I'm going to get a different result. And so just to know that we can have a different result. If we do the same thing, yes, we'll get the same result. So it starts with that leader. That's the first place leadership, right? That's the choice of leadership in that moment, is to hit the reset button and say, I want to take a different approach here. All right, so what's the situation? I need this person's skill set in order to be utilized in my team here to get the result that we all want to. So you've got to engage and enroll people. It starts with a conversation. Hey, can I talk to you about this, please? I'd like to tell you what's going on in my team right now. And I know that you've got a great skill set here that could be part of the solution. This is what we're trying to achieve. Is that important to you? And in a corporate setting, it might be, how does that align with where you want to go and your goals for the role that you're in right now? And you've got to find some common ground, Jeremy. And then once you've got that common ground, then from there you can move on. Hey, do you want to be part of this solution? Great. All right, I want to make sure it's good for you. It always has to be a win-win. And I go back to Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is the first book I ever read, which started me in my personal development journey many years ago. Got to think win-win. Here's the tip that I'd like to share, because it's really easy to remember, is that when you have that conflict with someone in your team or outside of your team, it's because you're face-to-face. You're one side of the desk, the other side of the desk. Think about, you want to physically come side by side. You want to walk on the journey together. Bring that person. The first thing to do is bring that person to the other side of the desk, be side by side to you, and look towards what you can go create together and take the first step.
And that will lead us into the difference between planning and goal setting. So talk about goal setting and planning.
Oh my goodness, I could talk about this all day long. It's my jam, Jeremy. There's so much nuance here. It is the point of why this is so important. Goal setting is specific outcomes. I want this goal, and goal could be outcome, could be milestone, could be success criteria. Again, lots of different semantics in there, and just know what it means for you. So goal is an outcome. Planning is thinking about overall in different scale. And so there's so many different words banded about, especially at the start of the year, to think about what is your year going to be about. I want to plan some goals. I want to go some planning some this and that, or some outcomes. You just make sure that you're using language that you're clear about what it means for you. So I'd say for anyone that's working in a team in a corporate setting, or if you're working in your business, even just if you're doing this for yourself, just make sure that you're clear about what is it you're moving towards here. The key difference I'd like to share here between these semantics is that a goal is an outcome to get to. Your planning for the goal is, what you're saying is that you're understanding what activities that need to happen in order to get to the outcome. A quick frame that we use here at ProAdvisorCoach is lead, lag, lift. Lead, lag, lift. And this is shorthand, if you want, a shortcut to think about planning and goal setting overall. And I invite everyone to take this away. Lead, lag, lift. Lag is an outcome. Lag is an outcome. It's a delay. And so think about, if you were a farmer. Now, I don't know much about farming, but I think everyone can follow this example, that if you're a farmer, what you want is the end of the season is a harvest. That's the lag outcome. It's a delay. You can't just go into the ground and dig up and expect there to be potatoes there. But you can move towards that outcome. That's the outcome that you want. So the lag is the outcome. You've got to define it, then you've got to get away from it. And then the other two is lead and lag. Now, lead is a repeat activity. It's something you can do over and over again, and the impact of it compounds in order to get your result. So if you're a lead activity on a farm, let's say it might be daily irrigation, working on the farm, like getting some machines out there, something that happens repeat, pull out the weeds. If you do it enough times, you're going to stand chance to get to the outcome that you want. That's where you actually spend your time doing the lead activity. Because some people set a goal and go, okay, great, now I've got a goal. And then they just carry on doing what they were doing before, and therefore get the results from before. So lag is the outcome, the harvest, lead is the thing that you actually do week on week, day on day, and a lift is the final one. A lift is a mini project. It's a goal within a side of a goal. So if a lag is the end, the harvest, a lift might be a game changer from the start. So if you're working on your farm, a lift might be hiring more people, buying more machinery, or buying more acreage, something that changed fundamentally. So I really want to share that with everyone. Lead, lag, lift. You're setting out and doing goal setting, planning, whatever you call it. Use that concept in order for you to get clear about what you actually do to get to the outcomes that you really want.
Yeah, good stuff. So I would love having you come back on and sharing this insight. And this is one of those we could have the conversation go on forever, but let's go ahead and wrap up with contact information on where everyone can reach out and follow these conversations and get to know you better. So where do we go to learn more and get involved?
Come see me on LinkedIn and Instagram. Nicholas Davies on LinkedIn and Coach Nick Davies on Instagram. Come check me out. Plenty there. And also I have a podcast, ProAdvisorCoachPodcast.com. We've got some great stuff in there. Yeah, I could do this all day, Jeremy.
Well, Nick, good stuff. Always love having you come on the show. So thank you for all you do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Appreciate you.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.